Lewis Hamilton is a 7-time winner at the Hungaroring, and he was pushing hard in first practice, as demonstrated by this full lockup at turn 1. His win at the Styrian Grand Prix last weekend made amends for a disappointing first round. But with Valtteri Bottas leading him by 6 points in the driver's standings, he knows he can't afford any mistakes. The Finn wound up just 1/10 of a second slower than his Mercedes teammate in FP1. Although with Hamilton running the hard compound tyre to Bottas on the medium, the momentum appears to be with the world champion, at a track on which he excels. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel were sharing a track for the first time since their collision in Styria, with Vettel 2/10 ahead of his teammate. While the team has some way to go to match the pace of the Mercedes, they'll be buoyed by placing firmly inside the top 10, and crucially, ahead of both Red Bull drivers in first practice. Lance Stroll was one of a number of drivers frustrated with traffic out on track. And while his teammate Sergio Perez had a huge lock-up at turn 1, which obliterated a set of tyres, there was no hiding the pace of the Racing Point cars. Still running the controversial brake ducts which were protested by Renault at last week's Styrian Grand Prix, the Pink Panthers ended the session 3rd and 4th, the only team within a second of the two Mercedes during first practice. It was a mixed session for Red Bull, with Alex Albon down in P13 and Max Verstappen only 8th fastest, enduring a series of lockups on a green circuit affected by a smattering of rainfall throughout the session. And Max was triggered by the Williams of Nicholas Latifi not moving out of his way.
Honestly.
Robert Kubica, sitting in for Kimi Raikkonen for the session, took a more gentlemanly approach to the congestion, allowing his Alfa Romeo colleague Antonio Giovinazzi some space as he exited the pit lane, only to lose the back end.
Yeah, well, okay, I have spun. I was watching mirror and I spun.
Okay.
So Mercedes power dominates the top of the leaderboard, Hamilton fastest from Bottas, followed by the two Racing Points, with Perez just edging Stroll for 3rd. 2014 race winner Daniel Ricciardo impressed for Renault in P5, ahead of both Ferraris and Verstappen's Red Bull. Lando Norris was P9 for McLaren, the most successful F1 team in Hungaroring history, and Esteban Ocon snuck his Renault into the top 10 after stating he's starting to feel at home behind the wheel of his RS20. Carlos Sainz was 11th, with Kevin Magnussen in a much stronger position from Haas following their struggles in Austria. He and teammate Romain Grosjean either side of Alex Albon. Nicholas Latifi had a strong showing for Williams in 15th, 3/10 up on Danik Fiat's AlphaTauri, ahead of Giovinazzi, George Russell and Kubica, with Pierre Gasly failing to leave the garage after AlphaTauri spent the whole morning working on his car.